Thank you, Lori, for accepting the invitation for the interview and to talk about your book, The Book of Exercise and Yoga for Those with Parkinson's Disease. So, yeah, I'll leave you to Tatiana and Ganka, our translator of your book. So, yeah, good luck.
Thank you for having
Hello.
me.
It's a big pleasure and also um, inspirational to be able to meet you in person.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, for us, it's the the connection to Parkinson is very personal experience because of my father's disease and how we found you. And this book has been giving him a lot of relief and help to ease the disease. And this was the reason my mother has translated it. So she wanted this to be accessible to as many people as possible. And therefore, we really are grateful that a publishing house like East West has taken on the mission as they do for many, many interesting books. They really are the light for giving access to very, very many interesting books like yours as well. So again, also, thank you for agreeing to have the book translated in Bulgarian.
First of all, I'm so sorry your dad is dealing with this. It's a very challenging condition. And I really do appreciate too the willingness of East West to do these kind of projects, because as you said, the most important part is to make it accessible. And, you know, when someone doesn't speak a certain language, the book is not very helpful. So I really appreciate all of the work that you've all done to translate this and make it available to as many people as possible.
Thank you. What was your inspiration to write a book on this? Is a very specific subject. How did you connect to that to Parkinson's?
So at the time that I wrote the book, I was actually teaching exercise and yoga classes for individuals with Parkinson's disease. And we only met a couple times a week. And they started saying to me, like, you know, when we're home, we don't remember the exercises. And they also knew other individuals who had Parkinson's that maybe lived in a rural area or for some reason didn't have a class nearby. So they were asking me, could I, you know, put something down that they could use? So initially I just created a little spiral bound book that I could hand out in class. And the feedback was just so positive to have this to work through. And they were actually the ones that pushed me to see if I could actually publish it. And so at the time, Amazon, and they still do have a process for self-published authors. You can upload your manuscript and they will advertise it and print it and ship it out for you. So it was really my Parkinson's students that pushed for this to be published.
Yeah, so you have had also other feedback because it really does make a difference from our personal experience. The exercises he was making was helping him feel more relaxed and obviously that was your touch to Parkinson's. Did you encounter other cases in your life?
So when I very first started, I was working on a master's degree in exercise physiology, and I had to do an internship, which is at a physical therapy center. And the owner there, same situation, her dad had the condition. And so she was very highly interested, and she was actually really able to get grants and research grants. So we could really study the effect of movement on Parkinson's, which exercises were better. And it was through her that I really learned so much, and through the research and also working with folks with Parkinson's disease. It was really inspiring for me because this condition is so challenging. It creates so many challenges with daily life. And to work with individuals that showed up on a daily basis, were willing to do whatever they could to improve their health despite what they were dealing with. So many people would give up, when they're faced with this many challenges. And these are the individuals, they were just such fighters. I mean, they were there, they were going to give it their best and try everything. They were open to trying different things. And it just was so incredibly inspiring to work. And they were very good about giving us feedback, letting us know what worked, what didn't work. So combining that with the research findings, we were able to develop a pretty efficient program. And then when my internship and the research ended, that's when I actually started the ongoing classes for the exercise and yoga, because they didn't want to stop because it was actually helping.
Yeah, understand. There's actually a different varieties of the disease. My father had the one that's with the freezing.
Yes.
But I'm sure it's equally helpful for for patients that have the tremor as well. Which exercises did you really find are working for? I don't know if you had the interaction with the different varieties of the disease. What would you recommend, like as the number one and two exercises to start with?
So that's a great question, and we get that question all the time. Like, what's the most important thing to do? One of the challenges when you have different chronic conditions like Parkinson's disease is that, as you mentioned, there's different levels, different expressions of it, and everyone's very different. So you can have 100 people in a room with Parkinson's disease, and they'll all tell you something different about what it's like to live with it. So it's really hard to pinpoint one thing. It's kind of individual, like what is that person, dealing with? What are their most specific challenges? Are they freezing more? Are they having more tremors? Are they finding more rigidity and stiffness? So it is kind of an individualized approach. And not just with Parkinson's, but with everyone in general. Yeah. Everybody wants like that magic bullet. Okay, tell me the one thing I need to do, and that's just going to help everything. And unfortunately, you really need a variety of exercise. So that's why the book is broken down into chapters. So for example, we have aerobic exercise. These are exercises that, like, you're marching, you're kicking, you're stepping, you're doing things to kind of make you breathe harder and your heart to pump faster. And these kind of exercises, they help to improve circulation. They help reduce your risk of diseases like cancer and diabetes and heart disease. And they also help improve what we call gait, which is the ability to walk smoothly without freezing. And they also help improve like your flexibility and your general mobility. And one of the things that can happen for folks with Parkinson's is that they get very rigid in their lungs. And so they have a hard time projecting their voice loud enough for people to hear them because they can't take that deep breath. And so aerobic exercises really helps improve your lung capacity so that you can take that deep breath and really project your voice out so people can hear you. Then another aspect is strength training. So this is involving moving the body against some kind of resistance, whether you're lifting weights, you're using tubing, you're doing body weight stuff like squats. These exercises make your muscles stronger. What stronger muscles do is they prevent you from falling. They help you be more stable, and they make activities like lifting groceries, getting in and off of a chair, getting in and out of bed. It makes those kind of daily activities much easier. Then we have flexibility exercises, which involve holding a stretch. So maybe you're reaching for your toes and you're holding that for 15 or 30 seconds and breathing really deeply. What flexibility exercises do is they make your muscles have better range of motion. So when you're trying to reach things in high and low places, you're trying to bend down and tie your shoes, you're dressing, more flexible muscles help you do that more easily. So that's why we try to do a combination of things. They're all good, but they all help with a very specific improvement in the body, which then translates into easier daily activities, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
And then you have activities like yoga and Tai Chi, which also help with flexibility and balance, but they tend to be much more relaxing for the body. And that can help with lowering stress levels. And what we found is sometimes lowering stress can actually help reduce tremors. Because if you start tremoring or freezing, it can be very scary. And obviously your stress level is going to go up because you feel like you're out of control. So having that ability to take deep breaths and move slowly, sometimes we were finding folks were able to lessen their tremors through doing that.
Yeah, it actually sounds like this is good for anyone. You're saying, it's not just for people with Parkinson's, but really, from my experience, it's like the disease is just making people get older quicker. It's not like it's yes, it has these symptoms, but it's just a rapid aging. And really, everything you say is going to be beneficial for people who are not very active, who are staying at home too much. So those exercises can be actually beneficial for all people that are bound at home, aged, and like they can take it easy into starting on a health program, really. And this is like adapted exercises for people with a certain level of disability. Is that a correct assumption?
That's a perfect way to put it. These kind of exercises are really beneficial for anybody, and especially as people age. One of the differences is that with Parkinson's disease, when somebody wants to move, first what happens is like, I have a thought. I want to take a step forward. I want to walk across the room and take a step. Long before that movement happens, there's all sorts of things that are happening in our body. Our brain processes that thought and then creates chemical reactions through our body that make our muscles contract and make that movement happen. For folks with Parkinson's disease, that's where the damage is happening. You have the thought, I know I want to walk across the room and I know I want to take a step, and the brain starts that process, but those signals aren't getting to the muscles correctly. So that's why you start seeing things like tremors and freezing. I have the thought, but my brain isn't able to get that nerve signal to that part of the body to make the movement happen. And it also can cause a lot of rigidity in the body. Again, I'm not getting those signals, so I want to twist, but okay, I'm not getting the signal fast enough to get there. And so for Parkinson's, there's just that extra challenge of how do I help that process along? And what's really fascinating, if you look at the research, the medication helps with that. It helps with getting those signals there better. But the research doesn't just help with movement. They still don't know everything why, but what they're also finding with research is that exercise can actually slow the progression, which is just amazing when you hear that. It doesn't just help, it can slow the progression of it. So it's even more beneficial for folks with Parkinson's disease because of that. And just because of that unique challenge that they deal with, because of that issue with the brain, certain exercises just help a little bit better. You really want to focus on those twisting movements and those stepping movements that are helping the brain get that signal down to the body.
Yeah, I remember that was really hard. You know what you want to do, but your body just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it was really, really hard, and especially when there were obstacles in the house, we've actually like eliminated, tried to eliminate these areas where it's very narrow, because it was very difficult to move in these areas because he would have to stop, and once he stops, it's again, you have to start again. So
Yes.
so it's important for people to for people with Parkinson's to have free range of movement, and once they get into the course of moving, not to have to stop until they go to the place they want to. And yeah, I remember this, like you have, like it helped this to give yourself a command, like to say go, like to make the body understand through a different pathway. I mean, as far as I understand, this is what really they have to deal with, to find an alternative nerve, because there's one damage that could not transmit the signal. So for going through the voice, obviously it helps somehow to bypass the problematic area and to go through to make this movement.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We found that in our research too. It was really interesting. So having some kind of like rhythm does exactly what you said. It helps the brain find a different pathway. And so one of the experiments we tried is we had like a metronome, like when someone's playing music, you have something that's click, 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 trying to help you stay on a rhythm. And so we had one group try that. We had another group that while they were moving, they would say, go, 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 walk, walk, walk. They'd have something they would be saying to themselves. And the other thing that's really fascinating, and there needs to be a lot more research, we also had another group that we played music. And the music was something that had a very strong beat and maybe a song that was familiar. And we tried all of those methods to see if any of them would help more with that freezing or navigating around an obstacle, all those things you just talked about. The metronome did nothing. I mean, even though there was a steady beat, that did nothing. Talking to themselves and saying something like go, go, or start, start, that helped better. What helped the most was actually the music. And so in the book, I have a little section on like finding the right beats and using music, because music does something to the brain. And I would have participants come in like walking just 5 feet from the door to the chair for the exercise, they might freeze 3 or 4 times. But if I put music on, like a song that had a strong beat, they could walk the entire class without freezing once. It was just really amazing to watch. And I even did a little bit of dance with them, like things like tango that have really passionate, strong music. And as soon as that music came on, they could move like they didn't even have Parkinson's. It was pretty amazing. And it kind of got to be a little bit, funny when we'd have the class. I'd be in the room waiting and someone might be outside the door and I'd hear this voice, Lori, turn the music on. And I'd put it on and they would come into the room. So if you can get music, something that you connect with and that has a real, like classical music isn't great because it doesn't have a strong beat, but something that has that strong beat really helps. And for folks that are having trouble moving around their home or walking, they would even use like headphones or have something on, and that would help with even everyday movement if they could incorporate that in.
Yeah, I was just thinking about headphones. But this is amazing. I mean, music is amazing. It's just
Yes.
it's again for all people. I think we maybe tend to underestimate the magic of music and how much it's doing in the unseen, and also for all people like that are perhaps alone or
Yes.
are aging. It could do miracles. And for my dad, it was difficult. He had the added challenge because he had a loss of hearing since early childhood. So it was more difficult to connect to music, although he did, but it was not that easy to use that tool. But I've seen like when you get in the rhythm, like he was walking with the dog, and once he goes, it just clicks, and yeah.
Yes.
So it's perhaps from everything now I know, this sounds like the most and it's not difficult because it doesn't really involve you to learn, or like it could be such a like a start to anything, because you can get in the groove, and like you said, your patients were saying, put the music on. So obviously it was like a trigger to help them get in the groove, get in the exercises, and it was like carrying them through the healing process. Or it's difficult to say healing, because these are just kind of slowing the disease measures. But as you said, you felt like some people even look like they don't have an illness with the music. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch that. And I hope they do more research, because music is just magical, to help people connect and not feel lonely, and to help manage
Yeah.
conditions like this.
Yeah. It's definitely something that we would be seeing, I suppose, I hope, in the future a lot more as a therapy for many conditions.
Yes.
Yeah. What was most challenging for you when you were developing the program? Yeah, because it's difficult. I mean, it has to be safe for the patients, and also they have to work. So yeah, I'm sure it wasn't easy for you.
Yeah, it's
Because
our biggest challenge.
yeah,
Sorry.
sorry, it's the fragility somehow. They are fragile, because it's like this aging causes person to be more fragile than a healthy person.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge with the in-person classes was really finding space. We need to keep the program affordable and accessible. So you can't, afford to rent out this really expensive space and be charging people for classes to come. And I taught the program in different areas of the US, and there might even be like a hospital or somewhere that was willing to donate space, but then maybe there wasn't an elevator nearby, or you had to walk a really long hallway, or they might have to park really far away to get there. And of course, now you have all the movement challenges just to get to the class. And sometimes you would be in a room that had too many things in it and obstacles. So trying to be able to have enough space, free space for people to move around, that was really our biggest challenge. And I think, again, that was another push for the book, is to get something people could do at home, so that if we couldn't find space, there was that availability to do it at home where they were already safe. Luckily, when I started teaching the classes, I had finished my internship. We had done a lot of research. We had really learned a lot through our research and through other research that had been done on what was safe. But honestly, I learned the most from the folks that were coming. I know it sounds kind of cliche when people say this, but I learned a lot more from people with Parkinson's than they learned from me. There was just this openness and this willingness to experiment and to try and to be able to say, oops, that didn't work. Okay, let's try this. And they were just so open to actually helping with the book and giving me feedback. This feels good, this doesn't. This helps, this doesn't. This is okay, but can we tweak this a little bit? And just their openness to doing that process with me and teaching me what works was really what helped the most.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's such a treasure that you had this experience, and now it can be shared with the global community of people that are challenged with the disease. So thank you to those people who pioneered to have this book created, and also for them to venture to go to a class, because some people are hesitant to leave the home, especially I know my father, he didn't really want to somehow to be seen by people that doesn't know he's got the disease. Now, you're really not in your real self. Yeah, what would you advise to people who are hesitant to try the exercises?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one of the feedback that I got a lot was people appreciated that the class was closed to individuals with Parkinson's disease, because they are tremoring and freezing. Some folks, they would lose ability to control facial muscles. So they might have a little bit of drooling, and it's completely understandable how someone might be very fearful or hesitant to go into a class with people that may not understand why that's happening. So it was really important for our groups, and we were very fortunate that we had the ability to do classes in person that were closed. Sometimes people live in areas where maybe there aren't enough people with Parkinson's to be able to have in-person classes, to be able to do that. So having the book and doing it at home is really helpful. Probably the biggest challenge many people have is when they make that decision, I'm going to try exercise, they want to jump all in. So I'm going to go from doing nothing to I'm going to be doing everything. And when we do that, we get sore, we get tired. It might all of a sudden be cutting out too much time in a day that already has a lot packed into it. And when we overwhelm ourselves like that, it's just going to lead to giving up and quitting. And I know no one likes to hear this, but the best thing to do is to start slow. Pick one thing. Okay, I'm going to try aerobic exercise first, or I'm going to try yoga first, and do it a little bit, like 10 or 15 minutes. Start really slow, because what can also happen is not just when you're exercising, but for a day or so afterwards, it takes that time to understand how it's really affecting you. So you need to go through that process of trying a little bit. Okay, did it work? Did it not work? And then can I add on? Do I need to stay here? And you kind of have to go through a little bit of an investigation process. But if you start slowly and gradually, then it works a lot better than trying to like jump in full tilt.
What are you doing now? Are you continuing to work with patients with Parkinson's? Are you in other areas of therapeutic exercises? What is your current challenges? Just tell us more about yourself. I mean, it's really amazing to be able to contact you, and like this life experience and knowledge is very inspiring, and I'm sure it will help people to distribute the book to the ones that need it the most.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's really helpful for me too. It's nice to connect. I mean, you write a book and you ship it out, but then you wonder what's happening. So it's really fun on my end too to connect with folks too as we're doing this. My big focus right now is really looking at like digital health. Just because of all the challenges we've mentioned, the book is wonderful. But now we've improved so much in digital technology that if we could have like videos or apps or something that where people can listen to the music or maybe connect with others, or that even they have me taking them through the process of the exercises to do that. That's really what I'm working on right now, is can we create some kind of version of this book? And I also work with individuals that are like at high risk for falls or dealing with osteoporosis or arthritis, different kind of movement challenges.
Yeah, this is technology in the service of people.
Yes.
So hopefully, yeah, you are able to give this extra through the use of technology, because sometimes it might be difficult for them to even read because of the condition they are into. So that's great you're dealing with that. And yeah, so you really, this is your primary focus is the Parkinson's disease.
It's my primary focus is really on a variety of chronic conditions. So I also work with folks with multiple sclerosis, osteoporosis, arthritis, or even chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Because all of these conditions have their own very specific challenges. Yes, general exercise, like we talked about, is good for everybody, but each one of these conditions also has very specific challenges, just like Parkinson's folks do. So it's kind of helpful. Okay, here's a general workout routine and things you can do, but then here's things that are going to help you specifically.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because you shared about the other conditions you're working and this festival I mentioned we are organizing. There will be a nutritionist she's working with herbs, and she herself has multiple sclerosis, and she has really I didn't know because she's really improved her condition through eating nutrition and herbs. So I was just wondering if you are looking into these as an additional help for the patients.
I do. So at the time, I was actually teaching classes for folks with multiple sclerosis, osteoporosis, arthritis. And so I actually put similar books together. I also was working with a lot of older adults who are at risk for a fall, which is just a huge issue. I think I know here in America, 1 out of 3 adults 60 or 65 years older falls. And 95% of those falls are preventable. So that was another project. That book it's finished, but it's not like on Amazon selling. Like the Parkinson's book for some reason just really took off. And I think that was a lot of push from my students to make sure that got out there. But I do have other ones that I've put together. And I would love to have more digital formats in those available. Some of it is similar, like the type of exercises, but then again, there are chapters that address the specific challenges folks with those conditions are living with. So it's already been started, and I have some together, but they haven't quite advanced as far as the Parkinson's book went.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. It will be very interesting to learn more about these other books, and perhaps, it could be something for the future. Also, we could share with you this nutritionist I mentioned. She has published 2 or 3 books. Mainly the subject is the microbiome.
Okay.
And she will have a lecture, the planet of the health of the planet and the health of humans.
Oh, wow.
And it's about the connection of this microbiome. We connecting soil and guts and the health, because mostly it has been found in the recent years that a lot of the diseases are really related to our gut health.
Yes.
And our gut health is also related to the soil health, because our soils are being depleted, and there is lacking microelements, and there's lacking microorganisms also. So we like to make this full circle connection from the soil to the human's health, to look like complete ecological outlook, not just isolated the condition, but to look for the overall health. So her books are still only in Bulgarian, but I'm very it's interesting to me. I have early stage of Hashimoto, and she's been talking to me about certain elimination diets, and like how you can actually through diet achieve a lot of improvement on those conditions, which are really like Parkinson's and Hashimoto. These diseases are I forgot now what's the terminology for that, but the ones that attack your own body.
The autoimmune conditions.
Autoimmune conditions, yeah. They're
Yeah.
they're very strange, and it's been lately a lot more research coming out there to shed light, because for so many years they have been mystically, it was not really understood by science what's the root causes of these diseases.
Right.
So it'd be really helpful if, yes, in the future, there is the findings of what causes these diseases, because so far we've been only able to do measures that are just improving the situation, but not really healing the person. So
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that that something more radical will be available, because these conditions are very, very challenging.
They really are. And we just don't really fully understand them yet. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it'd be amazing to be able to stay in touch. And again, from behalf of our family and my mother, thank you so much for your work. You're really, really doing a great service to people, to the patients and to their families, because these diseases, Parkinson's and the others you've mentioned, they're very challenging conditions. And I'm so grateful
Aw.
that you're doing this work, because it really does help, and also for having this time in this conversation. It's very inspiring. Thank you so much.
Oh, again, thank you again. It goes both ways. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Well, keep in touch and keep up the good work.
You too.
And yep. Thank you very much.